One simple question someone asked me this last week, which was around the difference between connections on LinkedIn and followers, and you know, what are the pros and cons of each, and should you be encouraging people to connect or to follow? I guess we could probably tackle that in 1 minute just while we wait and see if there's any other questions.
Yeah, I think that's it does seem to really divide people, this one. I remember I shared a poll a while ago actually about this, because I was really interested to see what people thought and why they thought it, so why they were choosing one over the other. And obviously, you know, if you were on creator mode, that, you know, you chose that you wanted to go for to follow rather than the connections. And there's obviously a reason for that. But I think a lot of people were talking about or seem to prefer connections rather than followers. So I found when I was asking, and I think it's because they're sort of looking for those sort of like deeper sort of network building and the sort of relationship sort of building side, thinking of it like that rather than thinking about being maybe more selective with the people they actually connect with. I've seen some really interesting posts this week actually with people with quite small followings who seem to be getting really good results and much better engagement because they've actually kind of culled their connection. So they've gone through and tried to make their connections really, really relevant and really specific to the people that they want within their network. And are finding that their feed is of much more value, the kind of conversations they're having, what they're seeing, and the sort of activity going on within their sort of LinkedIn is more value to them. So I think it's striking that balance, isn't it? About, you don't want to connect to everyone because actually, you don't want to be rude, but like at the same time, you want to be connected to people who, you're going to have some kind of common kind of ground somewhere and some common interest that is going to be valuable to both of your networks. And that's why I think the follow option is a good option, because I think for, someone like you, share lots of valuable tips about LinkedIn, but you're not going to want to connect with everyone on LinkedIn. But there's lots of people who can learn some really helpful, advice from you about sort of using LinkedIn, but they don't necessarily have to be connected with you. So I think it is personal choice, but I think for me, it's definitely about the valuable, connecting with the right people is really important. And actually, depending on what you do, and the types of things that you're sharing, I prefer, and I'm still on, as follow is the option. And I know that with the creator mode obviously changing, that still hasn't been rolled out, has it, to kind of everyone at the moment? So there's still a bit of that state of kind of sort of impact. No one kind of knows sort of when it's going to sort of change and what's going on, but I guess it will settle down once that does happen and people kind of have the option. But what do you think about it personally then, Tony? Are you more connect or follow?
Well, I've got 30,000 connections, so I guess that answers the question. But there's a lot you can do with connections that you can't do with followers. So a follower basically gets to see your posts, and they're also invited to subscribe to a newsletter if you launch a newsletter. But beyond that, you can't do anything else with a follower on LinkedIn. So if you wanted to be able to invite someone to an event you're running, if I wanted to invite someone to attend this webinar, for example, I could invite a connection to attend the webinar. I can't invite a follower. So things like being able to send direct messages and therefore to leave voicemails and video notes, being able to invite people to events, those kinds of things you can't do with followers. Similarly, if you want to invite connections to follow your company page, you can invite connections to do that.
Yeah.
You can't invite followers to do that. So followers are much more restrictive in terms of what you're able to do with them. But there are certainly people who are looking for mass visibility, where actually having large numbers of followers is more important than having connections. So it's not a one size fits all or a one answer.